2 great Hell in a Cell matches, and I didn't care about the rest of the show. I'm Charles Rentham with my review of WWE Hell in a Cell 2020, and yeah, I'll talk about the main event and come up with a scenario that I've seen float around and talk about if I think it'll actually work or not. I hope that this means that Drew will actually get another coronation down the road. I just fear that he won't, because he really has been on a roll. But anyway, Charlie, Booker, Jeff Jarrett, and Jerry Lawler and Rosenberg were on commentary. Booker T said, "I don't like Sasha Banks." Now, he's taking shots at Naomi and Sasha Banks. Now, if he's working the fans and he's just working the talents and trying to motivate them, fine. It seems like he's kind of being a bit of a prick, and he's tired of, Sasha Banks and Naomi, their fans, trying to drum up interest and everything and trying to, get behind them. It's like he doesn't quite understand it. Booker doesn't quite get that social media influence actually does mean a whole lot. And yes, it can be toxic. Wrestling fans can be pretty toxic. But there are also a lot of good fan bases that want to see their favorites succeed. And I don't know if Booker's able to handle that really goddamn well. But Booker seems like he's kind of the bitter old man that really needs to just rein it in before he torpedoes his goddamn legacy more than he already has. Now, if he's working the fans, great. But I don't know if he's working. He kind of sounds like a royal prick. So, Jeff Jarrett and Booker talk about world title matches. When they feuded in WCW 2000 for 5 fucking years. It was honestly only maybe a couple months, but it felt like forever. I've been reviewing that. It was not a good time period. And Jeff Jarrett, I'm just going to say right now, Jeff Jarrett was stumbling over his goddamn lines a whole lot. And then Truth was here. And then Elias is strumming his instrument right in front of Charlie and does a little song and says junkie around Jeff Jarrett. He ain't like that. Now, I hope that line was actually cleared, but Elias is really, really good with the snark, and Jeff did not look happy. Because we really don't need to revisit this feud again, as short-lived as it was. And then we get Drew Gulak, versus Truth. There's too many Drews on this goddamn show. No, I'm kidding. Drew Gulak's actually very good and underappreciated. But yeah, 24/7 championship. I do not care. Drew Gulak is consoling little Jimmy, playing with him, and then he kicks him. He kicks an invisible child. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? You're consoling an invisible child, and you're asking what's wrong with me. It's Daniel Bryan, R-Truth, back about 8.5 years ago almost. That's something else. So, yeah, then jackknife cover for 3. The group that calls themselves Retribution. Ali cannot save this, and I love Mustafa Ali. He cannot save this thing. He says, hey, how about we have one member of my group and one member of the Hurt Business face off? Cool. All right. I think Booker is saying that the fans didn't really want to get behind Ali. This is a moment where I regret ever saying that Booker T should have been given his just due in that feud with Triple H in 2003. Because the fans did get behind Ali. They were fucking pissed when Brock Lesnar won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Booker, you would know that if you ever, got a championship opportunity in WWE that you deserved. But no, real champions or real contenders kick out of a pedigree when it takes somebody 23 fucking seconds to kick out of it. When it takes somebody 23 fucking seconds to get to you, what the fuck, Booker? Kick out of it. I know, I'm being a little bit, maybe mean-spirited here. But Booker kind of pissed me off with that because Ali should have won Money in the Bank, and I don't fucking get why he didn't. Brock should have not won Money in the Bank, but it is what it is. I still say Ali cannot save this thing, though, but Booker just saying that. Was Vince feeding him that line? I swear he was. So, we didn't get a video package, but it's horror-like. We get Recap City. There were about 25 minutes of recaps, and I get it. They were trying to pad the show. The show didn't need to be 3 hours. There were a couple matches that were a little bit long. 1 or 2, rather, that did not even need to fucking be seen. At least on the pay-per-view. They could have cut them and put them on Raw tomorrow. So we then get Roman Reigns with Heyman versus Jey Uso in an I Quit match. Universal Championship. Hell in a Cell match. I'm going to say right now, this match might be on my favorite matches of the year list. Did it go a bit long? Yes. I will not deny that. Was the storytelling fucking fantastic? Yes. And this is coming from somebody that's not the biggest Uso fan or the biggest Roman Reigns fan. And this was really good shit. Of course, Jey comes out, with a white lei on him. It's down since lei 1-ish. Look forward to people tuning out to the review right there. And Roman's got the golden glove. He is inevitable. He's going to snap. And he did snap. And boy, did he beat the shit out of Jey Uso. And as Jey drives Reigns into the Hell in a Cell, as he crashes, I see the Usos' driving ability has not changed one goddamn bit. And you ain't shit. Uso's trying to come back. Jey Uso's trying to come back, beating him up. He gets a spear and a second spear. And one line I know what they were trying to say, but they probably shouldn't have said it. Michael Cole, and I'm not even going to blame Michael Cole here. I'm going to blame whoever fed him the line. Jay has a suicide wish. No. In 2020, no. I know it's wrestling. You keep that stuff in the past. Let's keep that stuff in the past. Yes, they shouldn't even call it a suicide dive. I'm saying at this point, it just I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit too sensitive on that, but that line just seemed unnecessary. And then they were strapping each other. Cousins strapping each other. Man, I have not seen that kind of action moving on. And Reigns, I do the whipping around here. 12 years of Roman. So, I can't breathe. Do you want to quit? No. Okay, good storytelling right there. And then, man, strap around the neck and Reigns is out. Reigns is passing out. He is freaking out. But then, suddenly he comes back to life after a second time. And you get the Superman punch. And then the guillotine. And then we get a drive-by twice. One with the steel steps in Orlando. And then, the stair spot was kind of brutal, even though Jay did get his hand up right there. And then the referee got tossed out. Officials are in. And nobody can stop him. Nobody can stop Roman, man. And then the steps on Jay, and he's saying to him, we were 35 years old, and you are still testing me. Jimmy is in to stop it. It's like, we can work this out. You're my brother, Anakin. You're my brother. And then he says, I don't even know who I am anymore. Roman's saying is he's totally selling it. And then he just locks the guillotine or whatever it is on Jimmy. I don't know what they're fucking calling it. And then Jay quits to save his brother. He quits to save him. And that was exactly how it needed to be. Now, it could have had a couple minutes cut off of it, but I'm not going to complain because the match did fly by. Looking back on it, they could have cut a little bit of it if I want to be critical, and Lord knows I can be. This at least was a good way to tell it. And then the Wild Santos Samoans are here. And I'm going to say right now that I know that they were supposed to maybe be dressed in traditional garb, but it looked like they got those skirts from a discount rack at Nordstrom for like 80% off. They could have gone with something a little more traditional, a little more whatever. I just don't quite fucking get it. But it is what it is. Roman got laid by the two old men. I probably should reword these things, but I'm just going to roll with it. And there we go. Roman is the tribal chief. And then Elias sings a song, Jeff equals DUI. See that we haven't gotten rid of this storyline. And I'm not even a big Jeff Hardy fan. I feel that he needs to continue to atone for what he did. The numerous times he screwed up. But that being said, he's been sober for over a year. Let's wait until hopefully he doesn't screw up again. But if he screws up again, all bets are off. But if he doesn't, probably need to drop this storyline. I'm just saying. I mean, Elias can get better heat than this. And Elias versus Jeff Hardy happened. Elias, was going to hit Jeff with his guitar, but no. Jeff Hardy took his instrument and draped it all over Elias's back. Elias getting taken down all over his back by his own instrument. And this is going to lead to a Symphony of Destruction match. Hi, Karen. You know that I said that because of you. So, we then get Kayla interviewing Otis and Tucker. Otis versus Miz for the Money in the Bank briefcase. Morrison and Tucker are at ringside. Miz got creamed was an actual line said during this. Morrison got thrown out, and then Tucker hits Otis. Oh no, the inevitable betrayal of former tag team partners, and then Miz wins. Miz winning the briefcase. This is fine. Miz will cash in. Shout out to Truemeister for this, by the way. The 10-year anniversary of Miz's cash-in date will be when Survivor Series happens. So what's going to happen is going to be Orton versus Drew versus maybe Edge. Maybe Edge returns if Edge is going to be able to come back from injury. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. But Miz is going to find a way to cash in during the match, and he's going to get the win and, culminate like 10 years, a 10-year journey of his, of his bookending his two cash-ins. He'll hold it till Mania. He'll drop it there to Drew, Keith Lee, or something like that. He's going to drop it to somebody. I'm not Miz's biggest fan, but I will say for somebody that has put in the work, I have no problem with him holding the championship for another few months. If he doesn't do it at Survivor Series, it's a fucking missed opportunity. Sometimes the most obvious things aren't the worst things in the world. I say that as I'm going to bury the main event a little bit later. Tucker then says, we were supposed to be a team. I carried Otis's load in me. That was an actual line that he said. And then also he said, Otis can't tie his own shoes without me. Now that I believe. Otis does look like the kind that can't do that. And then Otis brawls with him. This is a feud I do not care about. One, they're on separate brands, but fuck the brand split. Why would you need to do the brand split or the draft? And there we go. So, Sasha versus Bayley. White versus black gear. And I will say this may have, for brutality, this may have beaten Roman and Jay. Storytelling with Roman and Jay was better. I gotta say, the women went all out here and I think had the better match. Just by a bit. Just by a bit. But both matches are going to be on my favorite matches of the year list. Candlestick action, table in the wall, Meteora into the wall. She was trying to help Bayley climb the wall. And then Bayley, she just got hit with the table, taking massive wood right in her face. Stick and steps, and, they'll break your face, by the way. That's not even a rhyme. It's look like Sasha got her face busted there. Chairs and sticks, a sunset flip bomb into the chair of Sasha hitting the back of her head, because Sasha definitely needs more bump where she's not going to be walking in 5 years. The fire extinguisher to the face. I'm not even going to call every single spot in this, but it's just these women went all out. This wasn't quite as good as Becky versus Sasha, but it was damn close. It was damn close. I will say this probably beat the Iron Woman match. Nothing's going to quite eclipse what they did to take over Brooklyn 1. You can't quite capture that magic. I can't fault these women for what they did. They really beat the shit out of each other. We got a ladder. We got another Meteora. Sasha using her knees repeatedly and Bayley taking her knees right in the face. I'm kind of getting the feeling that people may misinterpret some of my comments, and that's okay. Bayley to belly by Sasha. Bayley to belly by Bayley. That was hard to say. Bank statement with a chair for the win, and Sasha ends a 380-day reign of Bayley. It's too bad it wasn't 369 days for the reign, because could have had some fun with that number. But this is good, and she celebrates. This was the right call. Now, I wouldn't have been against them trying to drag it out, but I feel like they felt they needed to pull the trigger here, because otherwise people would have gotten sick of Bayley. Now, she would have been well over 500 days by the time she got to this, by the time we got to Mania, but maybe they didn't want to wait that long. Maybe Bayley's like, no, we need to kind of culminate this right here. And they can have a rematch. You could get Bayley trying to rise back up, maybe, go to the final 3 of the Women's Royal Rumble. Bayley can be in the mix. Maybe you could trade Bayley to Raw and she could go after Asuka or something like that. But anyway, you get the Hurt Business promo. Great. Hats off to the women, though. Really good stuff. Hurt Business. It'll be Lashley versus whoever for the U.S. Championship. Slapjack, the former Shane Thorne. I hated this. Hurt Lock for the win. And then Retribution storms the ring. This is going to be one-on-one. No interference. And Retribution, the group that calls themselves Retribution, rush the ring. Then Hurt Business runs them off. Retribution was already a joke anyway when they first debuted. Now they're even more of a joke, and it's not helping Ali. And I love Ali. Ali's great, but even the talent in the ring isn't all that bad. I mean, Shane Thorne's also there. And it's not even that he's bad. He's just still Shane Thorne, even if you put a hockey mask on him. But this just didn't do anything for me. Drew versus Orton, WWE title. Look, I'm sorry. This didn't do it for me. I give them credit. They did have an impactful match. This feud went on too long for me. I understand what they were trying to do. They're trying to basically make it where Drew had to overcome Orton, and he almost could, but then he just couldn't. Of course, Drew early on, after foiling Randy Orton sneaking up from behind, says, "Tell me how it feels, Randy. Tell me how it feels," screaming at him, making him want to describe it and beg for it. Sorry, that got weird on me. Drew was just beating up Orton, and then later Orton targets Drew's throat, just slamming his Viper right into his throat. I'm starting to think I'm not talking about wrestling anymore. And then table split. Fun fact, I've split a woman the same way that table split. Sounds bad. And then they're out of the cell. What kind of atrocities happen inside the cell? Don't know, but that explains why Heyman wasn't out there. So, on the cell, Orton drapes his pipe all over Drew, and then they go down the other side. It was cool when, Seth and Dean did this, the now John Moxley, and it was okay when Owens and Shane did it. Shout out to Cypher Ophelius for this. Or Cypher Ophelius. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, by the way. But, yeah, when they did it, Drew hit the announcer's table, and he's all busted up and everything. He's got internal bleeding. By the way, the camera missed the goddamn fall. They get back in the ring. Claymore suddenly, but Orton rolls out of the ring. He goes for the Claymore again. Drew counters. RKO, 1, 2, 3. People pointed out that Drew doesn't really take the RKO all that great. Well, it's hard to take that kind of impact on the face. When you take it in the face that often, it's going to get messy. You're going to get busted up. I am talking about wrestling still. How dare you accuse me otherwise? Randy Orton is now a 14-time WWE champion, WWE World Champion. Cool, we're back to 2010. Drew will go for the title again. Orton will lose it at Survivor Series. He will be a transitional champion, because he doesn't need to hold it for too long. He didn't need to hold it in 2017. He sure as fuck didn't even need to hold it in the Mania, even though I got the point of why they did it. But yeah, this kind of ended on a sour note. I actually expected Orton to win, but I was hoping they would swerve me, or just surprise me, rather. But anyway, it was 2 great cell matches. The rest was, eh. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.